Made it back from Canton. What an experience. It had everything. Sloppy play from the Detroit Lions, sloppy reception from the Volunteers. Doc was making the same walk that Dan Campbell was making. It was wild. It was a great trip, great drive. Weather this morning was perfect. I'm full of energy. 2 hours sleep. I was amped. Luckily, I made it back. Oh my goodness. Remember, if you follow us, Detroit Lions Lone Wolves podcast on SI, I told you that one of the things I was going to look for was how was security? Would they get me a credential? Would the Volunteers have any sort of leadership and figure stuff out to help the media? The Lions media missed Dan Campbell. Maybe 2 or 3 people were there, luckily, to ask some questions. That's why his media session's usually a little bit longer. It went 8 minutes. We were not there. And we almost missed the chance to talk to the players. Not because of PR, but because of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Stadium. We're going to talk all about it. Going to talk about my takeaways, what I saw in a cramped media room. And you know there were some overweight media members just pressing my chair. Oh my goodness, but they were nice and humble and sorry, and there was literally no room. It was horrible, but it was fun too because you come to expect it. Justin May, the rapper, Chargers cheated, Lions should have won. I'm ticked off about this game. Welcome everybody that's paying attention on YouTube and on X. Retweet, smash the like button, comment. That's how this keeps getting pushed out. Yeah, and I went there, Justin. I went there to watch that. Yeah, it was brutal. A 34-7 loss. Going to go through my takeaways, the stock watch, the craziness that happened with the media circus that went down there. It went down as pretty much expected. Leadership comes in a lot of different forms. And when you start to, you start as an individual and you know that things could go astray be ahead of time, that's not good. But overall, I felt like the experience was positive. I thought the venue is really a nice place to go. But for Lions fans, it was a sea of blue. Man, disappointing, ugly. We're going to talk about what everybody's talking about. And no, I want to say this. The players said it was unacceptable. It was sloppy. It was not good football. The players were not happy to put that on film. If you're going to go do something, at least have a level of competency. They didn't have to win the game. They didn't have to win the game. They just didn't look like they that they took the game off. Get your questions in. If anything is a super priority, send a super chat, super thanks. It'll be highlighted quickly and answered. We're going to go through things piece by piece. Time for questions. We have some time. It's beautiful weather out. This will probably be the last thing I do today. We have a lot of content in the chamber at Lions on SI still to come. Vito has an opinion. Only way to go is up from that first performance. Only way to go is up. Can't get any worse than that. The performance was sloppy. It was not good. So we'll go through my takeaways, who were the players that I liked, what I didn't like, and guys, now to the degree that you're going to make conclusive statements, I'm never going to tell anybody to calm down. Just share your reaction. Tell the people that tell you to calm down to stick it. It's your reaction. You're allowed to react however you want. Now, here's my opinion on it. You can't make conclusive statements, but if you're pissed off about it, express it and why you're pissed off. Football is about reacting. Football is about passion. Sports are about passion. The people that have no emotion about it are boring. We have passion. We drove out there 3 hours of my time. Certain things, yeah, you can say, all right, let's talk about it. Let's examine it. But if you're a reactive sports fan, come here. If you want to sit on your hands and just go, well, let's wait till the Falcons game, go somewhere else. Reactions are strong and passionate. That's why the fan base went to the game, talked about it with their friends, got mad because you want to at least perform. I think my mom's name is Booner gets it right away. The biggest thing that people are talking about. So it looks like we need a backup quarterback. I'm going to talk about that. Going to talk about who. I'll showcase our story about the PFF grades. If you don't have PFF, we bring it to you. We pay the subscriptions so that we can bring you guys, our favorite supporters at Lions on SI, content, insider information. So we have time. There's no rush. Anything at all that supremely interests you, comment. We'll try to get to as many as humanly possible, highlight as many. But our job today is to recap what was one of the most sloppy games you're going to see in the Dan Campbell era. They literally treated it like it was a practice. And Jim Harbaugh had Trey Lance rolling out there into the third quarter. Holy cow. That was ugly. Start to finish. But let's get to the circus because you guys started seeing because the media was not happy. We'll start with the circus, then we'll get to the nitty-gritty of football because it was just wild. Now let's start with this. Luckily, I planned the trip out perfectly. I got into town around 2. They send you to a middle school to get the credential. Now, luckily, they have a huge banner. Step 1, positive. It says media credential pickup, big on the road, so any idiot like me can see it. I get there, no problem. Walk in. My name's in the system. They can't find it. What's your company again? On SI. What's your name again? How do you spell it? How do you think you spell macaroon? Maakaron. 5 minutes just standing there, just chit-chatting a little bit. They finally found it. Oh, okay. Well, luckily, I was like, okay, first and foremost, I'm in the system, right? They're like, yeah, you're in the system. So that's good. Get back to the hotel, set up, get fresh, shower, get back down to the stadium. Now, they sent the media and fans to the fairgrounds. Messy, wet, yuck. My car's still dirty. And you take a bus over. Hey, it's free. But, you take a bus over there. It's free. You get close to the stadium. It's still about a 10-minute walk where they dropped us off at. It's not a problem. Now it gets fun. Now it's funny because you start going, okay, you're getting closer to the stadium and you say, all right, where's the media entrance to the Volunteer? They look at you like, huh? I don't know. Maybe there. Maybe there. And so the adventure begins. And I knew right away. I'm like, uh-oh, this is not a good sign. The doc's going to be wandering. So at first, they sent us through this little gateway that looks like where the buses come in. And I was with a photographer. I'm like, this doesn't even feel right. Now, there was a chance maybe to loop all the way around. But I'm like, I don't want to do this. I left back out through the gates and I walked closer to the stadium. So then I walk in and I walk into the main entrance by a handful of volunteers. And the lady's like, yeah, walk down there. I'm like, where's the media entrance? She's like, walk down the ramp. I'm like, the ramp. She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And I pretty much know this is not right because I can see the building. I can see the media side. I'm like, it could be to the left. It could be to the right, but I'm going to follow instructions. So I literally walked right into the media tent, right into where I walked into the garage. And I'm just walking and there's nobody even looking. There's a Middle Eastern man with a bag, with a media badge, just walking through. I went right down all the way into it. Saw some Lions media PR staff. They were friendly, smiling, going, probably look at this idiot, doesn't know where he's going. But I see the Lions locker room. So I make a right. I make a right, and there's this young guy with his thumb up his butt, has no clue what he's doing. I literally could have walked right into the Lions locker room. Said, hey, fellas, I'm going to get ready with you guys. He's like, I don't know. Nobody had a clue. And so literally I could have walked right all the way down the ramp into the building and right into the Lions locker room and nobody would have said a thing. The kid had a thumb up his butt and had no clue what was going on. So I'm laughing. I'm just like, okay, well, it's not here. I said hi to the people I know at the Lions. And I said, okay, I mean, do you know where it is? They were about as no information there. Now, the good thing is I told you beforehand, this is what I expect because there's not a lot of leadership. Not a lot of leadership in regards to organization. And being that I'm a leader of a group that's successful, I understand how all this chaos can happen. So you got aimless Doc walking all over the place. And so that walk that you see from Dan Campbell, that's the same walk the Doc took. The aimless leaders had no clue what they were doing. Clueless. So then The game, I finally find the avenue. I'm like, okay, let me just go right next door to the ramp and walk all the way up. Now, it's like another 100 yards to walk up the hill. And so along the way, hey, is this where it's at? Is this where it's at? You're asking people, and you're just walking. Finally, I found it. Now I know at the Pro Football Hall of Fame how to get into the building properly. Nobody has a clue. Nobody has a clue. Everybody thumb up their butt, and no vision, no leadership. I literally could have walked right on the field and just walked right through with a media badge. Be like, I'm with the TV. They wouldn't have checked. They wouldn't have known. I'm confident. I'm smiling. There's no leadership. I understand leadership. Like, you have to think ahead. You have to prepare. You have to have, hey, there's media here. We kind of have some signs. Media entrance, a sign. They let the doc roam. They literally let the doc roam right into the dock. And I said, and I knew I was not going the right spot. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go. I tried to walk into the TV side by NBC. Then the guy told me, hey, one security guy's like, this is not where you need to be. I'm like, I want to be with him. I want to be with Mike Florio in the suit. The one guy knew what he was doing. Now, the media, it's literally like it's like Michigan State Stadium. It's like a dingy setup that needs to be upgraded. Holy cow, does it need to be upgraded? Ha! Phil gets in. He put it all together. Hendon Hooker was in charge of stadium logistics, credentialing, and elevator repairs. After the game, you don't even get to go from the 7th floor down to the 1st. You have to go from the 7th to the 6th and then walk down and then get to the 1st through another portal. Okay, man, whatever. So I didn't get in the first wave. No problem. The big time media gets there first. Now I'm waiting. Now, here it gets funny. The Lions coaching staff and some assistants go into the elevator, close the door, go down, and 3 minutes later, the door opens and it's the same people. How is that possible? I have never seen an elevator with people go down, come back up flights of stairs with the same people in it. I laughed. I literally let out an audible laugh. I said, what the? And me and a couple other reporters were like, this is not going right. So then a large group of media is there. We presume they've already gotten down there. We wait 7 minutes where it goes from 7 to 6 to 4, back up to 7. We finally get down there. We get to 6 and we get out. And who do we see? All the media. I'm like, uh-oh, something's wrong. They're not down yet. They're like, the elevator broke. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. The elevator broke and I wasn't on it. Whew, thank goodness. I'm glad everyone's okay. But the elevator broke to get from the 6th floor to the interview room. And nobody had a clue where to send us. No leadership, no direction until this lady came. Thankfully, it was like calling someone, like, what's going on? And you had security giving a message. It was chaotic, lack of leadership. And so we're standing there minute after minute. So we missed completely Dan Campbell. Now we have to kind of trek our way through the stadium. At night, they send us outside. We're going through different doors. The Detroit media is laughing, taking pictures. And I'm just sitting there going, it must be me. I wanted to openly apologize and say, guys, this is a day that ends in Y for me. That's how everything goes where I need assistance. That's why I don't care. I don't ask. It's annoying. Half the time the people I ask questions to don't know what they're talking about. And half the time they give me wrong information. So I walk aimlessly. I don't care. I barely read the instructions how to get to the stadium. I don't care. I like the chaos a little bit. You can react. You can have some fun. But my goodness, was there lack of leadership. And we finally get down there. NFL world is trained, man. They don't care. They don't care about the media. You talk to Dan. You don't talk to Dan. No acknowledgement from anybody. Now, how am I prepared for this? How am I not like getting supremely upset? Adam Carolla has been complaining about people and security guards and tech people and low-level IQ people for 20 years. And I knew it was going to eventually hit me. Nobody has a clue. No leadership. The stadium thing was a disaster. It was wild to see. Wild to see in so many capacities, to see that lack of attention to detail. Now, I had a credential, I had my face on it, and I'm a smiling guy. I'm harmless. I'm 5'3" and a happy guy. I have a credential. So it was wild. It was just chaotic. We basically luckily we got a couple of the rookies. We got some access. John Hughes, Jock, do you like the chaos? Because in your professional life, you have to be so organized and put together. I don't like chaos because it highlights people's weaknesses. I tend to try and put things in order so that doesn't happen in my life. But to see it where other people are impacted, it's a lack of consideration. It's a lack of organization. It's a lack of caring. What the heck? There's people out here. And then after the stadium, it's dark. Security somewhat led me back to the bus, but he was just pointing to the right. It was actually straight and then to the left. So you just along the way have to ask everybody, where's the buses at midnight? To the left. So it wasn't media friendly. But like I said, I'm not going to light anybody up. I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to complain on a podcast. I'm just going to put it out there publicly. Because clearly the media already did it. It was wrong. It was silly. And it caused a disservice for reporters. Now, me, I'm different. I have all the free time in the world. I'm not on a deadline. I control when the stuff comes out. But other people, bless their heart, they got to put stuff out. I just did one story, Studs and Duds. The game story, Studs and Duds at midnight. I was already back at the hotel by 12:30. I stayed a half hour away. Imagine you got to put out content at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. like these other reporters. I would have been livid. And one of the nicest media members that you're going to find was upset. Like, what the heck? This is the worst media accommodations that you could ever imagine. What bothers me is that in 2025, there is a lack of leadership. There's a lack of initiative across the board. But I'm 46 years old. I care about my job. I care about standards. I care about thinking ahead, critically, doing something, succeeding, not just being average. I care about people. But it would be funny if Doc lights it up and starts sending messages, because they're going to be direct and they're not going to be nice. It's amazing the level of incompetency that you could see. Now, also part of it is it's self-serving. The level of incompetency makes me shine because I'm just normal. Show up to work, do the job, put out good content, go home. The level of incompetency sets the standard, the theory of Darwinism. If there's that level of incompetency, people that are normal or high functioning will get ahead. But again, when people's lives are at stake and you have issues, man, it's tough, especially when people have free reign to just roam free. Literally, I could have just walked right in to the line. I mean, half the lines would have dabbed me up, half of them would have threw me out. But I would never do that. But I could tell right away. I could the teenage kid had a thumb up his butt. I could have just walked right by him, walked right into the locker room and act like I knew something. So yeah, the door's open for chaos. Luckily, in that situation, they avoided something major. But it was horrible. It was a weird situation all the way around. Not friendly. I would have loved to ask Dan Campbell about the sloppiness. Now, luckily, Dave and Brad Galley were there. They asked some reasonable questions. So that was the chaos that went around. It was a circus. You guys saw a piece of it. That's what happened from my perspective. Like I said, I'm more laid back. I just go with the flow. You see me standing there in Colton's picture, just looking around like I feel like we're going to go down this way. I'm looking to the right. And I was just chilling, like just listening, because you just see the level of incompetency all around you. And you just go, hey, well, you're at the behest of who's leading you. But I was like, also too, well, this would be a fun story to tell on a podcast. Takeaways from the Lions 34-7 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. It was sloppy. It was right when you look at it, you say, okay, the first thing people are talking about is the level of play of the quarterbacks. We'll talk about it. Both Kyle Allen and Hendon Hooker are not the best. But the good thing is, the positive note, some of the young players made some plays and were out there raising their profile. We can now start to formulate some opinions based on the people that were there, that played and performed. Overall, it was a tough watch, guys. What was it like watching it for you guys? Phil gets in. Sounds bad. The game was worse, and the broadcast was yet worse. 10-minute interviews while we're trying to watch the game. Yeah, I listened on 97.1. I listened and took notes. So, and of course, too, here's the best part, too. The seating thing for a short guy is not positive. Not positive at all. Here's the seating. I'm going to show you the seating here as my phone blows up here. I think you guys are pretty much noticing about Micah Parsons. I don't think I'm going to write about it because, Brad has said it, but we'll talk about it. Here was the seating. The table was not lower. You see how my table's lower that you hear? Here was the seating for the doc. That was the seating for me. Basically, the table was over my head, and the window was so high up, I had to literally sit on my leg to get up above the seating view. So, short guy was not having the best vantage point, but I got my binoculars. So I was looking closely at Hasan and the offensive line. I was looking at who was getting the push. I was looking at Broderick Martin. I was looking. So it was great. I had a chance to kind of get some of those observations. It was sloppy. First and foremost, it was sloppy. It was not professional. It was not one of the best things that I've seen in a minute. Disappointing because the turnovers really were the story of the game. 5 of them, 2 interceptions, fumbles, and then, of course, the special teams blunder of all time. We do not, this doesn't work for me, brother. We do not go like this and try to reach for the ball. Woo! Standard 101, special teams. If you're not close to the ball, run. We don't slap for the ball. Whoo, number 80. Got his number called for the wrong reasons. Oh, that was bad. 5 turnovers. Dang, that was bad. And of course, right from the get-go, which was wild, everybody was like, I'm excited to see Grant Stewart. I'm excited to see Grant Stewart. First play of the game, lunges into the line, butt fumble. Man, that was tough. And I said, that's not a good sign. I said, please don't let this be an omen for the season. Now, we can't extrapolate it. Look, this was kind of like, hey, let's throw it together, cobble it together. Now, the Chargers took it seriously. They handled it. They absolutely, Joey, 2 times gets in. Dave Phipp going to have them guys running gassers. My first takeaway is that the backup quarterbacks definitely didn't rise to the occasion. Overall, there were some individuals that raised their profile. The young rookies were able to get after it. You dealt with a couple injuries that we got to talk about. We're going to look at the stock watch on offense and defense throughout the time. Get your questions in. What did you think of the game? What one word would you guys use to describe that game? Hit them in the comments. What one word? Trash, sloppy, boring. Now, as we're writing, like I said, it made my game story pretty easy to write. It was sloppy, and what else can you say? Trey Lance looked competent. Your defense made Trey Lance look competent. Oh. John Hughes gets in. Underwhelming. Many people definitely were focused at the forefront of what happened with the backup quarterbacks. Now, I'll give you the whole idea. MC3, who dat? 75% of these guys probably won't be on the roster. That's wrong. Your number is too high. Remember, they played roughly 59 to 61. They suited up 60 guys. Okay, the roster has 53. So some of these guys are going to be on the roster. Now, a large portion won't. Half of those guys to half. So it's 50% and lower won't be there. But there's certain guys that you're going to count on that you got to have go out there. You can't have Ennis Rakestraw struggle like he did. You can't have your backup quarterback that's on your roster struggle. So I think that there's a varying degree, and it's fair. in my opinion. Look, I respect everybody's opinion. If you're pissed off, I love it. If you're happy, if you're like, hey, I love it. The only people that I am not happy with is those that say that try to dictate how people feel. However you feel is however you feel. You're supposed to react a little bit or strongly because it's your football team. Some people drove and put on the uniform, got on that bus at the fairgrounds. So react however you want. Get in here. Tell us what you think. Now, here's what I think. I think that you can't make a conclusive season-long statement, but there's some things you can definitely pinpoint. And here's the thing, guys. Dan Campbell's going to react to the game because here's what's going to happen. Okay, people kind of like don't think critically or don't think 5 moves ahead. This is great for Dan on some level. You put bad tape out, Dan can correct it. And you guys think he's going to go, guys, man, Hendon, probably shouldn't have thrown that. Or, man, Hendon, short of the sticks, maybe you should have did something. Man, Grant, I think Dave Phipp's going to be like, go get him next time, buddy. Calm down. They're going to get lit up in meetings, coached hard. They're going to get lit up. And I would love it if one guy on the lines would tape it and just be like, well, the blogs say chill out. It doesn't mean anything. I would love for them to flash that to the coach. It is serious because you don't want to put that level of dysfunction on tape. Football is passion. They yell after every play. So you think Dan Campbell is going to be happy when he turns on the tape and shows them that? There's going to be some level of anger and elevated talk with the crew on every level. Now, Dan may keep the level head, but you know Kelvin's crew is going to say something to that defense. They made Trey Lance look good. First thing I do, I walk in on Monday morning, I'm like, you MFers made this guy look special? Beep, 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 beep. This is football, guys. This is not tiddlywinks. This is not calm down. This is, okay, we messed it up. Let's correct it. But on a good level, there's some things to correct. The defensive line at some point lost their edge. They didn't tackle right. They made too many mistakes. And also, for those of you guys that discount practice, on Twitter, on X, I said, oh my God, remember, the doc reported, I'm seeing miscommunication from Hendon Hooker and his wide receivers in terms of motions. And it literally cost them a timeout on a 4th down. It went from the practice field to the game. Literally. What you saw on the field was exactly what happened at practice. Confusion, a player in motion, not exactly going the exact pace that you want, Hendon getting a little frazzled, and the clock runs down. Literally to a T, what's happened at practice? A couple times. Not systematically, but that was the mistake. Isn't that wild? Practice how you play. Literally. The exact same look, the exact same miscommunication, the exact same dysfunction. Now you have something to correct live on tape. In practice, you say something, you move on to the next rep. It's quick paced. Now it's on film. They get it corrected. So remember, certain people don't have that coaching in them, that fire to fire it up and tell someone, hey, cut the crap. Now, if that got out and I was the leader of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and all the media tweeting that I'm walking in today and everyone's getting fired. Who's the head of stadium operations? See you later. I don't need you. That's not what I want tweeted out from the media. See you later. I don't care about your budget cuts. I don't care. You failed. We move on. Bring me people who shine. So do you think Doc has talked to his writers like that? Of course. But I told them first, I'm about perfection. Try to reach it. And luckily Vito and Christian are very nice human beings and they got the message. And it's not like the first time too. It's just like, hey, if you make the same mistake 50 times, on the 50th time, no leader is going to be nice to you. No one is going to be nice to you when you make the same mistake that we've made meetings about and talked about for 50 times. But those two guys have big hearts and big passion. They're smart. They care because they realize, we realize the method to his madness. He cares. That would never happen under my watch. Never. First things first. All right, where's the sign? Where can a human being see it? Where can a human being get to the media room? Easily. It just takes 5 minutes of thought. All right, let's get after it. Now, which media member told you day one, I'm not happy with the backups? This guy. Day one of OTAs. I pulled it up. I thought it was day one of training camp. I pulled it up because I wrote that story. Day one of OTAs, I said, this doesn't look like quarterback play to me. And people were like, Jesus, relax. I said, this doesn't look right. Now, they got better, but again, you're going up against lesser competition. It didn't look right on day one of OTAs. Just a fan, you've caught on. You know where one of the references I made on the show, where it came from. Also, about Central Michigan, I threw out if you can find it, I threw out a Godfather reference too. Don't insult my intelligence, Central, and tell us you're innocent. Throw the book at Central for the Connor Stallions. Admit what you did. Only don't tell me you're innocent. Lion King. Hey, Doc, great coverage. Now, to me, they did not meet the standard. But to your point, it's a great teaching moment. Now, in my opinion, all these mistakes are correctable, either with work or upgrades. Absolutely. And so, yeah, you guys were, some fans didn't get the bit on X at Detroit Podcast, Brent. Teddy Two Gloves want another paycheck. A couple of those throws from Kyle Allen, I was like, oh, Teddy. I posted that on X. Hey, Teddy, you still want to work? Do the Lions need new backups? I'm not going to formulate that now, but they're on notice. They put it on film. The first day of OTAs, it just wasn't crisp. It looked disorganized, looked discombobulated. Hendon didn't look in authority. It's the first day, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. If you think it, say it. Whatever happens, happens. You can go check out the article. I said, what I'm smelling on day one is this could be like 2021 when or 2022, one of those years where Brad Holmes said, I don't like this competition at all. He blew out Tim Boyle and David Blau at the end of the and brought in Sudfeld. He blew both guys out. Boyle and Blau did not cut the mustard, and it was rough. Do they need new backups? They need a higher level of play. They got step one was a dud. Kyle Allen. Now, one of the throws that Hooker made wasn't his fault, but still, it's underwhelming. You didn't score meaningful points. You didn't move the football meaningfully. A lot of stalled drives. Conservative. Fourth down run, and you scramble, you don't get it. Make the play. So, do the Lions need a new backup quarterback? Overall, my assessment was it was underwhelming. It lacked, initiative. It lacked, continuity. Now, there were times where Hendon Hooker made some plays. And Isaac Tesla made some plays. The offense had some moments, but collectively as a unit, it was disappointing. Certain players were able to get after it, but you can't throw 2 interceptions if you're Kyle Allen. And unfortunately, he tried to make a play, and he threw a pass out right that needed zip, and he didn't have it. And it was an easy return. And then the other one in the end zone was atrocious. The receiver had no chance to get open. There was 2 safeties. There was there were a couple of defensive backs there. There was no chance for the receiver to win. Drive killers, mistakes. Kyle Allen has bounced around for a reason. He's got to step it up. Now, that's game 1. They have to improve. That first, and Hendon was scratching his head like, I want to get out to practice right away. Like, I can't believe that's not how we've looked. We haven't looked that bad. So they're on notice. Would I expect the Lions to go out this week and get someone new? No. But if they do it again against the Falcons on the road, after this week of corrections, then start to get nervous. The backup quarterbacks are on notice. They definitely deserve all the criticism that they are getting. They're getting criticized, and it's warranted. They will correct it, and I think that the next step, too, is in context, Hendon was working with the 3s. Let him start with the 2s. Let him start with the 2s and see what he's about. Let him get after it. Let him work with the Teslas of the world and on a more consistent basis. Let him work. Because, again, part of the The reason why some of the stuff was going on was, he was throwing to receivers that may not be on this team. And the offensive line, too, third-string offensive linemen. But they were making some moves. The offensive line got into rhythm. The third-string offensive line did get into rhythm. I was, in the second half, once they started going, it just was the drives got stalled. They were moving the football. There were things that I liked. They were moving the football and getting after it. I like the first-team offensive line. I like the makeup of it. The first-team offensive line with Allen under center was Dan Skipper at left tackle, Moody at left guard, Igwekun at center, Awosika, and Jamarco Jones. For a preseason, that's not bad. That's not bad at all if you don't have Tate Ratledge and the injured Miles Frazier and Mahogany. It's a pretty good start. In the second half, it was Giovanni Manu at left tackle, Nice was the left guard, Cologne was at center, Colby Sorsdahl at right, and Mason Miller was the right tackle. Colby Sorsdahl was the right guard, and Mason Miller was the right tackle. They got into a rhythm. They were making some blocks. There were some positive grades there. But the quarterback situation, they do not need new backups right now. But time's ticking quickly because people are noticing that year after year, performance after performance, the Hendon Hooker, you would like him to look somewhat similarly to Trey Lance. So hopefully we get that. That's the standard. You could say, okay, Trey Lance sort of with the team that he was with in the first half with a great rookie and a nice veteran tight end. We're making some moves. That's what you kind of want to see. Beat Trey Lance. That Jim Harbaugh made Trey Lance look like he could play. My goodness. All right, so those are the complaints. The defense wasn't great, and it's far too sloppy. Turnovers, critical mistakes, bad special teams play, clearly. But let's talk about some positives. Ahmed Hassanin was the Detroit Lions' highest PFF graded player. I'm going to pull up the grades here. It was nice, a nice performance overall. I thought that he acclimated himself well. Definitely, he could use some more consistency in his pass rush moves, but he's got a good body type. He fits the part. Looks the part. It's good to see. Ahmed Hassanin was a plus player. DLR Van Halen. Love that you have your own show, Doc. Absolutely. Thank you. Passion, baby. It's fun. This is a great opportunity to recap, to get the things off my mind as well. Ahmed Hassanin had a good first performance. And let's take a look here at these PFF grades. I'm going to pull it up from the website. Pretty good. Pretty good opportunities to see what the Lions were about in terms of the PFF grades. Here we go. Highest PFF graded offensive players. Take a look real fast. I'll blow it up here too, which is cool. In this sharing platform, you can blow it up. Dan Skipper, 81.3. One of the highest graded offensive players. It was pretty much okay. It was not bad. Coyote Awosika, 79.7. Sorsdahl, 74.2. Tesla and Moody. So you have to give Sorsdahl credit when he does do well. So he was blocking pretty much okay and had himself a performance. At least put some nice blocks for the running backs to create some nice holes and some openings. And then clearly the highest graded player on the defense was Hassanin. And look at some of these players. Hassanin, 85.7, Nate Lynn, Rock Yassin, Kennelly, and Adams. Stock up, all five of those guys. These guys played well. Kennelly had the suplex. You guys saw it, right? Brock Lesnar spear. Boom. That was a nice play. Something of note that was positive. Kennelly getting after it. Rock Yassin. Hey, maybe there's then, I know I don't like to steal bits, but there's the jungle karma. What if there's the DSP karma? The Lone Wolves karma? You get feature interview, Rock Ya-Sin, and you get yourself top 3 on your defense, PFF grade. Rock Ya-Sin featured on Lions on SI. Why did it so happen that he was featured? Because he was playing well. There you go. You see the tie? But I also have to be fair and honest. I featured Kyle Allen because I don't know the guy. So I wanted to pick his brain a little bit. So it balanced out. I can't claim Lone Wolf's power just yet because probably cursed Kyle Allen and boosted up Rock Ya-Sin. But I'll take even. I'll take even. Lowest graded. What do you know? Kyle Allen, Nice, Egwakun, Shane Zylstra, and Hendon Hooker. Naturally, you would think that, okay, some of your reserves got to step it up. Now, unfortunately, some of your linebackers did not fare well. Trevor Nowaski, Mitchell Agude, I'm sure he took a big hit when he failed to set the edge and let the running back, he got too far into the backfield, and it was over. Ezekiel Turner, Ennis Rakestraw, DiCaprio Boodle. Those were the grades. What do you guys think? Are you down with the PFF? We're always going to highlight it. People like it. What do you guys think? Is it something to share? Worth it? Let us know. Trippy Gypsy, is Rock Ya-Sin doing good on special teams too? Is there use for him outside depth? I think there's use for him. I think that he's a veteran, and if Ennis Rakestraw is going to continue to struggle, there's a spot for him. So maybe you take a look at it. So far, so good. Good camp for him. He'll be talked about in the stock watch on defense. I thought he did well. So Hassanin, what you liked about him was he looks like he's not going to be overpowered by offensive linemen. But, the Chargers had a big-time player at right tackle. He was doing his thing. His size was massive, and he could move. So Hassanin was battling, but he could hold his own. Now he's just got to advance his moveset from what he's got to the next level. You could see that he's learning from Aiden Hutchinson in terms of rip moves, swim moves, and things like that. So Hassanin, one of the takeaways is you have a passionate player in the 6th round pick that wants to work, that's appreciative of the effort, appreciative of the Lions giving him the opportunity, and he's going to go out there and make the most of it. You want players like that. You want players to want to be here and want to work. And so there's a benefit with Tesla and with Hassanin. They both want to be here. Tesla is a hometown guy. He loves the Lions. Hassanin is just appreciative that a team in the 6th round gave him an opportunity when he felt like he was overlooked. FFFTG, no. He's not going to start. Marcus Davenport will be the starter. But he'll work his way into the rotation. So Hassanin, I felt like, just based on his efforts, I just look at the total picture. This is a player that's gritty, that fits the Lions culture to a T, and wants to be somebody that that improves and reaches his potential and wants to repay the favor that the Lions did to him and the opportunity that was given to him to play and earn a contract north of 6 figures and to have a chance to grow and develop and learn. He's getting an education along the defensive line from Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, Casey Rogers, and Kelvin Shepard. It's invaluable if you want to develop and grow as a person. And I think him coming here, I believe that there's a reason why he's here. Biggest Middle East population in the country. He'll fit right in when he becomes a star, when he becomes a good player. He'll fit right in. He'll become a community leader as well. So Hassanin is going to be somebody that I think will gratiate himself well and become a leader and a player that could potentially be on the Lions for quite a bit of time. And that's what you want as a defensive end. You want as many depth pieces as possible. I think it's great. I think that there's great opportunities to see good players. And then I think that something that was very impressive, you have to talk about it. You have to talk about the fact that the Lions rookie wideouts did some things. You have to talk about the fact that Tesla and Love It different skill sets, but have opportunities. Now, Love It missed some plays. He'll get better from it. Had a chance to make a catch, had a chance for an opportunity, and he cost the team. But you look at Isaac Tesla, what's impressive is the fact that big body, understands positioning on the field, can use his frame to get open, and finds a way to exploit weaknesses in a defense. It's no small feat to just go out there and get back-to-back catches for over 20 yards. He looked good. He looked the part. That's what you want to see. You want to see a player that comes in, feels a little bit comfortable, take what you've learned from the practice field, and bring it out on the field and be a contributor. And for remember too, guys, Love It was a 7th round pick. Tesla was a player that the Lions traded up for. 2 different skill sets. But Love It will have a chance to develop because of his abilities on special teams, and I think he'll make the team. Now, he's got pressure. Meeks is getting there. He's putting it on it day by day, little by little. But the rookie wideouts made some plays. Looked the part, blocked. Looked like they were engaged in the process. Will learn from mistakes. So I think that for a starting point, that's not bad. That's not a bad spot to start with Isaac Tesla and Dominic Love It. Now, Love It has some fundamental things he's got to get better at. Dan pointed it out in the presser. Things got to improve. But I can't wait now. Next week ahead, the next time we'll be out there is Sunday. We'll get out there and have an opportunity to see the week before the game against the Falcons. Another week. Thursday's a game. Tesla, I expect to get more opportunities maybe with the ones. Go up against Terrion. More of a chance to play with the 2s. Go up against Rock Ya-Sin. Go up against Ennis Rakestraw. Go up against some of the players that have talent on this team. And I think Dan Campbell said Kirby Joseph comes back Saturday. So there's a chance to get him back and in the fold and getting out there and being part of the mix defensively. So it's a good sign. Tesla and Dominic Love It got after it. Jackson Meeks is in play too. That's impressive. Starting to say, hey, wait a minute. Maybe all the talk about trading up that far, maybe a little bit too much noise for a player that could contribute pretty quickly. All right. A couple of segments here, and then we got to give you some, unfortunately, the bad news about a couple guys that are hurt. But, hopefully we get an update that's positive on Sunday that the extent of the injury is not going to be too bad. Because you guys saw the play with Kenny Yeboah. That didn't look good. Tangled up and got caught up there. You hope that, it wasn't too severe. But we'll get the update. Rookie wideouts impress. All right, let's go through the stock watch after the game. Now, you tell me, who impressed you on offense? Who did you like? Because I was looking at the offensive line. I was looking intently at Manu. It wasn't terrible. He held his own. He put the guys in right spots at times. But again, there were moments where, pluses and minuses every rep. But I'm glad he got the experience. I'm glad he got the opportunity to get after it. I felt like there were opportunities for him to get after it and do some things, to do things in a great way. All right. Offensively, first and foremost, I think the player that you all know balled out was Tesla. Stock way up. Buy stock in Tesla. Buy stock in Craig Reynolds. I thought he acclimated well, did his thing. Craig Reynolds, I think, at number 13 is a player that has a role. I think clearly now is going to be far ahead of Vaki because of the injury. So it's unfortunate. Now, did you guys see? Zach Horton got used as a fullback quite a bit. I like that. I think that Zach Horton has a chance. I want to see what the opportunity looks like. I want to see what the running game could look like when you have Dave Montgomery with a fullback in front of him. That could look nice. On the offensive line, I think that Awosika got the highest grade that people liked or got the highest marks based on his consistency. I felt like Egwakun, Moody, and Jones handled themselves okay. I just think collectively, Manu, Neese, Cologne, Sorsdahl, and Miller, that unit has got to step it up when they're out there. More consistency. Mason Miller had a penalty at a wrong time. But I felt like Sorsdahl had some moments of positivity where he was pushing the line and moving his blocker where he needs to be to open up a hole. I felt positive about what I saw there. You tell me, who impressed you the most? Absolutely, who dat? Johnny Moe talked about wanting a fullback. Max Splicer, Kingsley looked decent. For the hits, Strickland was playing like garbage. We need some safety depth. Could be better. I did feel like Kennelly had a better performance overall. A player that can be over the top and be somebody. But again, he's got uphill climb over Maddox and Dan Jackson. I like seeing Dan Jackson and Kennelly together. Yeah, I think that Coyote Awosika is a likable player. Who dat gets in, I've always kind of liked Coyote. I think he's a veteran. I think he's somebody that can get after it. So on offense, clearly the stock down are the backups. Number 80 on special teams. Blunder. Can't have that. Can't have a blunder like that at that level. The stock watch on defense. I looked at it and I said, all right, now we get a chance to look at a little bit of how the team looked out there on the field. Clearly, number one stock up that people liked, Nate Lynn and Ahmed Hassani. They looked the part. They look comfortable in camp. They look what they're doing. Ogude clearly had the error, and Ukwu, I feel like, need to step it up. 45, need to step it up. Ogude is somebody that is up and down, but, he had the play where he clearly didn't set the edge. It looked like they even replayed it, where he ran into the backfield, got out of position, and was in a bad spot. It's clear. It was a read option, and Ogude was too far in the backfield, got caught, staring, and the running back, boom, big gain. That's what, if you want to go look, if you guys have the all 22, on that play, that's what setting the edge is not supposed to look like. That is a prime example of, you can throw that up there for everybody. Don't do what Ogude did. That is the recipe for disaster. I thought that Pat O'Connor always kind of has been showcasing what's been going on. O'Connor, I think, is a favorite. I think the team was like, okay, we like what I think the team understands what they get in him, and that's what they want. It's consistency. He doesn't have to be a star. It's just consistency. Now, here's the thing that when you look at defensive linemen, Raekwon Williams, the veteran, Broderick Martin, he's got size. Broderick has size that he draws attention, so that's a plus. That size alone, and I'm sorry we got to bring up Broderick Martin, but we got to talk about it. He has size, and I think that that's something that needs to be a starting point. But here's the problem. Too many times in my notes, and watching them, because I had the binoculars like this, like half the game, and counting all the players that were playing. Too many times it was either neutral, where Broderick was getting engaged with the center or the defensive tackle, and nothing was happening, or he was getting pushed back. That was my note. It was like, where's his strength? Where's his power? Where's the other part of the equation here? That was my note. Where's the rest? Where's the tackle? Where's the strength? He lost the battles. Where's the strength? Where are the pushing it leverage toward the other side of the field? Nope, Broderick too many times was getting leverage and losing the rep. Too many times. That was my biggest takeaway, was for a man of his size, I don't see him winning enough reps. Now, despite the fumble, despite the issue, Grant Stewart is somebody that people pay attention to. It was up and down game for him. He's relentless, plays hard. But he outshined, I felt, Trevor Nowatzki and Anthony Pittman, Turner. I thought he stands out based on his play and attitude. and he makes plays. I think he had the sack. Anthony Pittman had some tackles that were impactful. But again, there were times where he was not in the right spot where he needed to be. I felt like Stewart made up for his error. I mean, it's an early thing. It resulted in a score, but it's an issue. What are you going to do? Clearly, at defensive back, Rock Ya-Sin, and the player guys we got to start talking about. Ennis Rakestraw does not look like Ennis Rakestraw. He doesn't look like the guy that is a draft pick. He's working through it. He's injured. Like, he's working his way back, trying to be a gamer, but he ain't making plays. Det Fan Man. To me, it's the hair. Stewart looks like Blanca. Trey. Oh, my goodness. Tragan Kier Studios. Broderick is 330 pounds. Aaron Darnold is 280. Yeah, but also Aaron Donald played a different position. Joey 2 times understands what's going on. So you just want to see a little bit more, because basically we're seeing what we want to see from DJ Reader. DJ Reader is pushing back Graham Glasgow. He's in the backfield a little bit more. He's winning reps. So that's why you don't see it when you need to. Rock Ya-Sin's doing well. I feel like everyone's looking at number 17 as well. DiCaprio Boodle made some errors. Got him. That's a tough position. But he's got to work his way back and get after it. I do think it's competition, but I do think that the pathway for number 17 to make the roster is pretty far. Rakestraw Ya-Sin. Rakestraw made a lot of mistakes. I think everybody saw in my notes, got beat deep. Knocking the rust off. Didn't make a play when he had a chance. Missed tackle. And then makes a play, and it's always that momentum that you see with players. Then when you make a play, you get penalized. Fell short. Wasn't a deal. I think everyone knows that safety can only stock up. Strickland's got to do more, and he's got to get after it. And then clearly, specialist, you're not going to glean too much about what happened. So that's what we're going to watch for this next week is how do the players respond that had bad games? How do the players respond that had good games? It's not Dan Campbell doesn't do the whole pat on the back, Rock Ya-Sin, it's do it again. It's not, hey, Ahmed, great job. You had a good debut. Now you're on the team. It's no, go do it again against the Falcons and clean everything up. The mistakes, the procedural type stuff, the massive errors that cost you. Those are things that will cost you in a game. So overall, it's a sloppy game. Overall, it was not fun and not a fun experience from a pure football watching standpoint, but there was another team. And I felt like Jim Harbaugh ran that thing like a pro. It's like, all right, let's check out Marion Hampton. Let's get Trey Lance some reps. Let's get him moving around. Let's get him some opportunity to do some things. I feel like he boosted his confidence way more than anybody else did. Jim Harbaugh put Trey Lance on the map for a minute. Think about that for a minute. Vic gets in. Thoughts on the second team O-line? I feel like it's okay. I feel like there's opportunities. And so the second team O-line would have been the starters for this game. I like Jamarco Jones. I like Coyote Awosika. I like what they can bring to the table. So I do think Jamarco and Skipper, probably is going to make the team. But it might be tougher over the course of the next couple of weeks if the development is not there, if Aiden keeps abusing him or there's opportunities that he doesn't keep growing and getting after it. But I like the opportunity to see some good players. Moody, I think, is a lock for a reserve spot. Egwakun, I think, is got. I think the guys that started the game are the guys that I think are in the lead for the spot naturally to be reserves. Not bad. I think you can maybe get a little bit of an upgrade at left tackle with Skipper. It ain't going to be Manu, not this year. I don't know if he's going to develop over a month in that fast pace. So All right, we got about 5-10 minutes left. Hit me with all your questions, players, what I saw, experiences. It was fun too because going to the stadium, you could see the McAfee effect. You could see all the players, all the fans that went there to see Pat McAfee. It was cool. It was cool to see the energy, the buzz, all the sea of blue. It was cool, but it wasn't cool that the game was so sloppy. And I'll throw it out here too. I do think that it's worth a banner, being that someone close to me said it. Now, guys, this is just a ploy, in my opinion. This is the game plan. It's not going to happen. I would be shocked. I would be floored. I would be floored if it happened. But it's worth a topic. Maybe, like I said, it's worth it. I made it as a comment. Look at that. Look how smart I am. I made my own comment when I wanted to make a banner. But that's what he wants, man. Micah Parsons. We're going to talk about him. Real fast. Get your thoughts in. Is it just out of the questions? Is it out of the question for the Lions to make a big, huge move? Don't pay Aiden, pay Micah? Would you do that? I mean, I think you'd always naturally want to. I just don't think it's realistic. I think we're in the realistic phase of training camp. Here's the play, guys. It's quite simple. Big-time player wants big-time dollars. Initially, the team knows that, and they go after it. Look at that. Cynthia gets in. I think I got the message. Sloppy Lion, sloppy Doc. Rogue Doc. It's at the end. And also, too, no excuses. Got to show leadership. But I only slept like 2 hours. I'm amped. Got up. And I woke up with energy, too. It hits you. It doesn't hit you when you wake up. You're feeling good. Have some coffee, have some breakfast, get in. The weather's beautiful. Get a little bit of a walk. Read everything. And hits you now. You're like, let's go. But I power through. It's executing late. But, it's quite different than not directing media than just putting a banner as a comment. Because actually, I promoted myself. So there's a win there, too. You guys are great. And that's what I like. If I make a mistake, let me know. I am not above reproach. Feel free. Let me know whether you like it or you don't like. Any comments are always welcome as long as you're respectful. All right. Sleep is optional. Still have to pay Hutch, JMO, Branch, Laporta. All right. Here's my thoughts. I feel like any team in the National Football League would benefit from somebody who can rush the passer, that can play the outside linebacker spot, and get out there along the line of scrimmage and cause havoc. Now, consistently, would he fit in this scheme? Yeah. You would. For a player of Micah Parsons' caliber, Calvin Shepard would tailor the scheme to him. If you're Aiden Hutchinson, do you take a step back and go, you know what? Winning is important. 2 years. Let Micah have 3-4 years. I'll get it in a couple years. I'm getting over $20 million already. 5th year option for next year. Remember, Aiden's under contract for this year, and the 5th year kicks in next year. You go to the team and say, hey, get Micah here. We win. Micah Parsons on the Lions would make him a winner. Clearly. It's just financially, I think that it would be Micah or Aiden. So it's not going to happen. And also, too, Micah has the Doc syndrome. He likes to talk. And so they have a bad stretch. He's going to be out there on his podcast being like, man, we were not playing well. Dan told us that we had to focus on this, and this was something that was emphasized, stopping the run, and we couldn't do it. Broderick. And they'd be like, man, he threw Broderick under the bus again? Be like, no, we all know. Broderick would be getting darts from Micah Parsons. Broderick. Now, again, I still have confidence in Broderick Martin. But we just got to get that power. You got to get his mojo. But Micah Parsons is a talker, and he exposes team stuff. Like the stuff that he did with Dak Prescott, while greatly entertaining. You don't do that. Like teammates don't go, hey, let's do a list of top 10 quarterbacks, and let's go Goff, and let's go Joe Burrow and Jared Allen. Is there anybody else that I'm missing? Is there, Justin Herbert? Is there anybody else I need to be on this list? No, nobody else relevant. And then there's, Hendon Hooker. And he's like, is there anybody else I find fascinating in his game? Is there anybody else I respect a lot? And he's like, Kirk Cousins. And it's like, is there somebody else? Is there any? No. And they're like, what about Dak? Oh, yeah. Oh, well, it's Dak. Those things are done for reasons. And I do think that part of the reason was Dak took a lot of his money. Some of that earmarked money that was going to Micah went to Dak, and he knew it. So, and then also Dak's play was not good enough. So the talk becomes nasty. You can't do that. So I don't know if that fits the culture of what the Lions are like. But St. Brown also airs it out too, but he's always positive and fun. And his is more of crap talking with his brother back and forth and with players. It's not typically anti-Lions, but the Lions won 15 games last year. The tough shows that Amon-Ra did were the losses. And you said it, Joey, 2 times. Besides, Jerry Jones would want a literal treasure chest full of pirate booty for Parsons. We don't have it. You can fabricate it. You got some picks. Might take a couple. But absolutely, I think that Micah Parsons saga is the playbook. You want a contract, you're not getting it. And so the playbook is then you start talking. Then you start doing the removing of the social media, the going to the media and trying to negotiate there, saying, hey, I feel like this is something that, and giving details that you're not supposed to. And also, too, there's been issues with how Jerry has negotiated with Micah's representatives. Teams should not ever disrespect or put out their issues that they're having with the representatives of the players. The players are deeply, deeply connected to their reps. Deeply. They pick them to navigate their lives. So when Jerry's like, I don't, the agent or the representative is nobody on my radar, or not one of the big ones, or whatever the level of disrespect that came out, can't do that. So I think that there's a little bit of bad blood that didn't happen. And so then the next playbook is trade me, or I don't want to be here. He wants more money, and he wants the deal to get after it. Do you want him? Do you think it's a ploy? I don't know if anybody in town would write it. I mean, I would write it, but I think we've written it a couple times already, a couple years ago. It's already past that. And the season stuff is interesting, so we'll just talk about it here. What do you guys want to see in the next couple of weeks? What do you want to see this week? Let me know in the comments. We're going to write. We're going to have content. We're going to do podcasts every single day. I'll be back tomorrow. Probably a little bit of a shorter show tomorrow, half hour, hitting on some things. But have to get out with some unfortunate news is that 2 players did not walk away healthy. Dan Skipper was in a boot, and Kenny Yeboah we saw get tangled up there. That was not a good fit there. That was a rough play. Definitely a rough situation that took place, where you have a player that gets tied up there and blocking and then gets held up and then bodies galore, right? Man. So it's one of those deals that you want to get after it and you want to, see you want to see a lot more crispness offensively. You want to see the competitive periods to get after it. You want to see everything. And so after the game, reporters saw that Dan Skipper had a boot. He got rolled up, I think in the first half, and it was a nice run play, 9-10 yard run by Craig Reynolds. And he had a boot on his left leg in my notes. So most people believe it's an issue with the ankle. It's been not officially reported, but it's a lower leg issue. I think Dan reported his early understanding it's a low ankle situation. Hopefully it's not a severe sprain. So his Kenny Yeboah's hyperextension was gnarly. And so luckily, when it got hyperextended, he was able to walk off on his own power. He's battling with Shane Zylstra. I think Shane's ahead, but we'll find out Sunday more details. The expectation is that safety Kirby Joseph is going to return and have an impact, hopefully, after a knee irritation. All right, get your last minute questions in. Again, thank you guys for the super chat, the super thanks. Anytime. We appreciate all of those. Oh, now we're at the part. Now we're at the part 2 where the comments are fighting. It's the first time in a while the comments are fighting with each other. Now we got a chat where people are calling. Listen, always be respectful in the chat. Let's be above brow, meaning if you don't like someone's take, tell them why their take is wrong. I saw that a couple times, which is good. Hey, Donald plays a different position than Martin. Listen, it's simple to call someone casual. Tell them why their take maybe is misinformed, what the right way to look at it is, and be respectful. It is my opinion that, or you should look at it like this. Help us. Don't just hurl out insults. It's fun, though. The chat can get wild. But let's keep it always above board. Let's be, let's show some leadership. Let's show some, growth, because when we go back and read the comments or read the stuff, hurling insults is one thing, but being able to reflect and learn and grow can be a whole other thing. So let's keep it moving. Again, I hit everything. The drive home today was great. Look, man, podcasting is great. What do you know? I think every single, and it wasn't like that before, every single reporter that is covering the Lions has a podcast that is doing the job the way it needs to be done. They have a podcast. Ours has been going strong, Doc and Jock. The literal blessing for us is we're called Doc Detroit Sports Podcast since 2013. And it wasn't forced. Oh, well, there's one that's not. One. I wish. I've talked to him about it. I wish the Free Press did a pod. He would be great at it. He would fit in. He would rise to the top pretty quickly. But it's all about, can't get Micah when you're doing a podcast. I am not doing Micah at all. I don't have to explain the business side of things. The podcast is doing well. I'm happy. And thankfully that people know that it's a way to connect with your audience, literally your readers. Why would you not do it more? Once a week, twice a week? I try to do as many times as possible. My schedule is now in a position to do this. So now there's more podcasts covering the Lions. Enjoy them. Locked On Lions. Every single outlet that is covering the Lions that's reasonable has one. And they should do it. It's an easy and fun way to take your knowledge and share it in a different way. It's a connection to the people that support you. And also, too, in doing it live is also a blessing. All right. Thank you guys for the 75 minutes of time. Hit the comments, hit the likes. Let's continuing to grow. Continuing to bring you guys Detroit Lions content. Big things ahead. It's going to be positive. I think that the Falcons are going to face the wrath of an angry Detroit Lions team this week. Practice is going to be tough. All right, let's get after it. I am the Doc, John McAroon. My time is up. Follow along right here. For more coverage, visit si.com/NFL/Lions. The central hub of the operation is on X at Detroit Podcast. That's just a place where it filters where to go on YouTube. Here, you can subscribe, tell people, hey, there's a daily Detroit Lions Insider podcast talking about things, answering questions, and responding to comments. Let's go. Micah Parsons, let me know, yes or no. Who should Doc watch this week? It's going to be all the same. Manu, Tesla, can they grow? Ahmed, the continued growth. Aiden, does he take his success into week 2? Marcus Davenport, stay healthy for another week. Another fun week. And Doc will be out there every single day and coming back here and sharing it on the Detroit Lions on SI Lone Wolves podcast. See you guys soon.